Hello my lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am sewing a Swoon Sophia. It's a swim tote, so it's rather big, and it's my first time making this bag, so I figured maybe there's a few of you that would like to work with me together. It's not so long per se, but you can always pause and do the steps as I'm doing them. Make sure you have your pattern open because that will definitely be helpful. I have mine on my phone. I've never done it before, so I will go over the pattern with you guys as I'm sewing it. I went ahead and already cut my fabrics and interfaced them. As per the pattern, the only thing that I forgot to do is remove the fleece 5/8 of an inch interfacing from the bottom panel. This is my bottom panel interface. So the pattern suggests that you remove, which I might actually be able to if I just glue it on the edges, to remove 5/8 of an inch from around the edge. That will help your machine sew through this. So this is the bottom and the sides with the interfacing on. I also added to my main pieces vinyl, matte fusible vinyl to the front, because this will be a swim tote. I plan on taking it to the beach, so there will be moisture, there will be salt in the air, there will be sand, so I'm trying to protect the fabric as much as I can. I also plan on taking this to the Disney water parks whenever they open, so that's why I put vinyl on top of it. You can see in the video it's a little shiny. It's not the fabric itself. This fabric is woven, so, but it's interfaced with vinyl, matte vinyl on the front. Then it has a layer of woven fuse or 101, SF 101, and then it has a layer of fusible fleece. So I've done everything according to the pattern. The only extra step is that I put on the exterior fabric pieces, I put this vinyl, matte vinyl, fusible matte vinyl. So keep your pile handy, and let's get started. Once you finished interfacing, first things that we'll be working on will be your front pockets. I might need to remove stuff from the table because these pieces are huge, like huge. They take the whole table. So I'm gonna go ahead and start removing them from here and bring them as I need them. This is no little purse. Alright, so we'll start working with the pleated pocket, and we'll start by attaching the female snap. As always, I will link everything that I'm using in the description below. The fabric lining and main are from Backstitch Fabrics, and most hardware and zipper are from Wizardry, Stitchery and Crafts. I believe these magnetic snaps, the little ones, but they're the only rainbows I have left, are from I don't think these are Melissa's. I think these are from So Sweetness. They're smaller than the ones that Melissa carries, but I ran out of hers. So I need a male and a female for this, and two washers. I couldn't find the word. Alright, so let's attach the female to the main piece 1 3/4 inches down from the center. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark the center. I'm just folding this in half to have the center of the pocket, and then I'm gonna mark 1 3 quarters down, which is right here for my magnetic snap. And I will add, for extra support, a scrap piece of Decovil light on the back, or heavy, one or the other. I don't remember which one is this. So let me put 2 holes in this too. Okay, see, I marked it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and use my seam ripper to put 2 holes. This is the front pocket. It's like an accordion pocket. I'm losing all my washers under the table. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 holes in without putting a hole in my finger. So the washer goes there on top of the Decovil, and then we'll just fold it. Let's continue the pleated pocket by putting the lining right sides together, and we're going to sew around with 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving an opening at the top so we can turn it inside out. My handy dandy kitchen sink. Don't forget to backstitch at the beginning and at the end. And we're going to turn it inside out. I clipped my corners to make it look nicer after you turn it. And you'll have, if you decide to go with the vinyl like I did, you'll see a lot of wrinkles at the beginning. They will go away if you press it with a pressing cloth. It will straighten nicely afterwards. Oops, it didn't pick up here. So let me fix that side. You know, I always say this is not going to be perfect, but my goal is not to have perfect bags, is to have fun making them and to help anyone that thinks, oh, it's impossible to make bags. I never claimed to be a professional, never will. I don't sell my bags because I know when I buy bags, I expect a better quality than the ones I make. So I wouldn't sell these. But I'm having fun making them, and at the end of this project I will have a brand new custom swim tote that nobody else has. So I would think I'm winning on that one. Okay, and let's top stitch and close the opening right here. If you're pressing this, make sure you use a pressing cloth with the vinyl, otherwise it will melt under your hot iron, this vinyl. Oh, pretty much any vinyl. Let's start creating the pleats. I believe these pleats are created similar to the ones on the Weekender, the Sophia Weekend, not Sophia, the Stella Weekender. So we're gonna mark the center, which is right where the snap is. I'm just double checking right now. Mark the center. I'm using water soluble pen, heat disappearing pen, not water soluble, because I want all these markings to disappear when I'm ready. So then from the center, 1.5 each way and another 3 each way. So let's start with the 1.5. So this is my 3-inch ruler, which means my first marking is this, and my second marking is this, and then another 3 inches on each side from the center. I don't know how well you can see this because it's like a purple. You might consider using a white on a black fabric. Alright, so let's fold the outside. So it's going to be one fold this way, and alright, so it's on the inside. Trying to visualize it before I go ahead and sew it. Oh, okay, so there's two. In my mind there was only one pleat, but there's actually two pleats. Okay, so we're gonna pleat this, and then we're gonna pleat this, and then we'll bring them together like so. Okay, I got it. So I'm gonna fold the first line that's on one of the sides 3 inches away from the center, and I'm gonna sew with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, then I'm gonna go to the second pleat, which is 1.25 inches away from the middle. And I'm going to repeat this for all 4 pleats. And I have white thread in my bobbin, white thread in my main, because I am an equal opportunity non-matcher for all fabrics. I don't plan on switching threads throughout the project. Again, it's my bag and I don't care. Let's do the last pleat. Alright, so after you've sewn all 4 vertical lines, this is how your pocket will look like. Okay, so now we're going to create the pleat by folding inside. So it will look like this on the inside. I put a little clip here. So you'll have 2 identical. You bring this together and you fold them. So this is how it will look like from above. And then the same thing on the bottom. Of course, you press them, give them a good press. Like so. Alright, so this is how it would look like after you've created your folds. There's my snap right here, and this is how it looks like on the inside. Alright, so I will go ahead and top stitch one more time so it catches the folds. And I think I will baste the bottom too, just so I don't have to worry about the snaps popping. Just where the fold is. I see the snaps apparently don't want to stay put, so I don't want to worry about that when I place my pocket on the main, which is actually the next step. So you're gonna go ahead and grab your main fabric, whatever you chose to be. So you have 2 pieces that are identical. You decide which one you want on the front and which one you want covered with the front pocket. Let's either one. I think mine are the same, pretty much. So let's do some measurements. We're going to want to add the pocket 4 3/4 inches from the top, and it should be, based on that measurement, 2 inches from the bottom. And of course centered. So let me find the center first. Okay, so I have a little crease here for the center, and I have my ruler here to mark 4 4.75. 4.75, it's right here. Okay, and I will double check that. My center I know because it's with the snap. So this is where my pocket will be. And I'm double checking that I have 2 inches, and yep, I have exactly 2 inches from the bottom, which confirms that I've done my measurements correctly. Now I just need to make sure I sew that in. And because I put the vinyl, it's pretty slippery right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of quilter tape to hold it in place temporarily, because I don't think even my long pins will reach. No, see, not even my big pins won't reach there. So without moving it, I'm trying to, there. Just something to hold it in place until I sew it down. All right, good. So now we're gonna sew around the pocket to hold it in place. Making sure that you don't move it from where it is. Yeah, word of advice, keep your table clear. See, I have this little thing here, and I pushed my stitching. But it's okay, I'll continue from here. The beauty of a busy print, it camouflages my errors. If you use the solid print, all your stitching issues will pop up. But again, I am not a perfectionist when it comes to this. I want at the end to have a brand new bag for the water park. Alright, so my outside pocket is done. I don't want a perfect water bag swim tote, I just want one custom. Alright, so here is the pocket. Let's work now on the pocket flap and start with the lining of the pocket flap. This is my main fabric and I need my lining. It should be the popcorn print, if I find it. Okay, I found it. Alright, so on the back, so on the lining piece, send 1 inch from the bottom and centered, of course, we're going to put the male snap. So 1 inch from the bottom is right here. Again, my washer. Put my washer center in there, and where you have those 2 slides, I just mark them down like so. You can see it better on this print. Okay, and then I do the same thing on a piece of Decoville Heavy. You can use for this a little bit of foam, a little bit of fleece, something to make sure the snap doesn't pull through the fabric when you open and close the pocket. Make little holes Don't go too big. And if you want, you can add some fray check or some one of those glues that help the fabric not fray. I don't think I've ever done that. Again, I'm not picky with this. Alright. My deco wheel and then my washer. This is the lining of the pocket and this is the main. I'm using a vinyl like that I got from the LA Fashion District last summer. It was like $10 a yard, a full yard, right? It was like a very good price. So I'm going to sew this with 1/4 inch seam allowance just around the U. Leaving the top open. So we can turn it inside out. I feel like I didn't do a full 1/4 inch here, so I want to go back. Alright, now I'm happier. So turn it inside out. And we're going to sew around with 1/8 inch seam allowance, and we're going to sew the raw edge closed. Make sure I have nicer angles here. Alright. So with 1/8 inch, I'm gonna go ahead and go around and pivot at the corners, the two corners at the top. And now, because hindsight is 2020, I think this would have been a nice place to put like a handmade tag. But hey, I don't have any rainbow ones, so maybe it was a sign. But yeah, if you want to add one of those metallic named handmade tags, or your logo, your company logo or whatever, you can just put it here on the flap. It will look really cute. Too late for me, but hey. Alright, so now we're gonna do the flap with the wrong side, the lining up, and we're gonna measure 4 inches from the top. If I remember correctly, this was 475, right? Here. So 4 inches. It'll be right here. And of course we want to make sure that the snaps are centered. because they will close like so. I just wanted to make sure that my snaps will be correctly attached. Come on. Okay, good, like this. So let me pin here and here. And we're gonna go ahead and sew an 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch along the raw edge. Like this. Now we'll remove the clips and we're going to fold and snap it in place, and then I'm going to top stitches with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So actually I'm going to go a little over, this way it will catch all the raw edge inside. So I went about 3/8 of an inch maybe. This way I'm sure that my 1/4 of an inch raw edge is inside this seam allowance. And with that my front is done. There you go. You have your like phone glasses pocket outside. It's rather big. It has a snap closure, super cute. The pattern actually suggests that you put the lining on the outside, but I didn't want to do the popcorn on the outside. I wanted to keep the main print. Plus, hey, it's BB-8 right here. We can't put BB-8 on the lining. That would not be cool. Alright, so this is done. We're going to set that aside and we're going to start working on the handle guides. So you have 4 little pieces that look like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There. There are 2 by 2. You want to fold those 1/2 inch on each side. And this way you'll get a 1 inch handle guide. You're gonna fold 1/2 inch and top stitch. You can use pins, you can use well, pins I wouldn't recommend for vinyl, but you can use clips, or you can use tape, the quilter tape, to hold it in place, or simply hold them in place with your fingers, because it's such a small handle guide that you can just hold it in place. So you'll have to make 4 of them. They are going to look like this. I'm sliding my rectangle guide. This is also from Wizard Stitchery. And I'm going to a clip on it and set it aside. Repeat this step for all 4 of your guides. Okay, once you've sewn all 4 of your handles, find the center of your bottom piece. So the one that looks like a weird H is your bottom piece. Lay it like so, and find the centers of the 2 long lines, and then measure 475 on each side and mark with a pen. I've done that already, here and here. So take one handle and lay it so that the inside edge is at the marking that you just made, and sew it in place. Make sure you backstitch and you go a few times over it, because this will hold the weight of your bag. So you want to make sure it's secure. And repeat this step for all markings. Make sure that the line that you just made is inside of the handle. So you'll do this 4 times. And the last one. Alright, so your bottom piece will look like this with the 4 handles. So set that aside for now. And we're going to be working on the inside pockets right now. They're called hanging pockets. So for that you need your zipper. And let's see if I can find mine. A zipper pull if you're not using a pre-made zipper. You will need your pocket pieces, which are those, and I also need my zipper tabs, which Lord help me find it, because I know myself, I always use those. I probably lost them already. Oh no, they're here. Okay, so 1, 2, look at that, I have both of them. So fold your zipper tab in half, press, so you have center marking. I cut mine at 1.5 inches, so it's gonna be wider than the zipper tape. The pattern suggests a 1 inch width, but that will work for a number 3 zipper. If you're using a number 5 zipper like I am, you need it slightly wider, because the zipper tape is 1.25. And I have a 16-inch zipper by the yard. Actually, I have a little less. I have 15.5, because I'm not gonna put it all the way in. Or maybe I should. No, I won't. Let's not forget to add a zipper pull. Both the zipper with the transparent tape and the zipper tab are from Wizardry Stitchery and Crafts. They have a huge selection of zippers and zipper pulls and all kinds of back hardware. I love their products. Come on. Maybe I should have done this off camera, but hey. Alright. So my zipper is added. And I'm gonna add the one end and then we measure because I want to make sure that it's going to be 16 inches total. And like I said, my zipper ends are wider than the tape and I'm gonna remove the excess. I did them on purpose. So this needs to be 16 inches finished. So I want to make sure that I will have, okay, perfect. I love this transparent tape. I don't know, it screamed swim tote to me. Although it's going to be on the inside, I believe you won't see this zipper on the outside. But I don't know, the fact that it's transparent screamed swim tote to me. Alright, so let me remove the excess tape so that it's flushed with the zipper tape. So imperfect and so pretty. There you go. Alright. So the hanging pocket A is the one that's only 2 inches wide. So we're going to take, this is my pocket A, that is 2 inches wide, and we're going to add the zipper like so, so right sides together. That's why the pattern insisted to make sure that the zipper is 16 inches because that's how long this piece is. Come on. There you go. Try to pull the zipper tab away. Alright, take your other piece of the 2 inch width wide one and place it right sides together so your zipper is sandwiched in between. And you can sew on top of the first line of stitching or just sew with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance again. Make sure you move your zipper pull if it's in the way. And let's top stitch. How cute is this? Top stitch along the the edge with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So now take your panel B, which is the 8, no, not 8, 9 height. And we're going to repeat the steps and we're going to sandwich it in between. And I think this time I'm going to do just one step so I don't sew through that clear vinyl tape twice. So I'm sandwiching the zipper tape in between the panel B, the 9-inch one, right sides together. And I'm gonna sew just once. I don't know how well that tape will handle multiple holes, you know, with the clear tape. So to avoid that, I'll just sew once. Make sure that the raw edges are aligned. Obviously, if you prefer to pin it in place, you can. This is my last piece of this popcorn coordinate. I wanted to do the whole inside pocket with it, but I didn't have enough. So I opted for just piece B to be the popcorn. And now I'm thinking I'm liking the look, because I didn't have enough to do it all. So open it up and top stitch. Again, a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance away from the edge, from the fabric edge. This is your pocket so far with piece A and piece B, and now you have your piece C left. This is from the inside, this is from the outside. And let's see how we're attaching. Okay, so let me see, because I have two panel pieces Place both hanging panels C wrong sides together. Okay, so this is it. This is my C. There are two pieces wrong sides together, and matching the raw edge. Pin them to the back of the completed panel with the zipper wrong side down against the C panel. Okay, so this is just like this. I've never made this kind of pocket before, so it will be interesting. Open the zipper, then sew along the two side edges and bottom with 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving the top open. Okay, all right, so it looks like we're gonna sew around with 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're gonna leave the top open. All right, I can follow directions, hopefully. Oh, I know what they're doing. It's a French seam. I was like, in my mind, I'm trying to envision the next steps. It's like, how is this gonna turn? But I know what they're doing. It's a French seam. All right. So now we're turning with the inside, the lining out. Okay. And pressing. All right, so now I've turning it back. Now it has the lining on outside. So we're gonna go ahead and sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance again, all around. The 3 same edges. Oh, okay, so 3 same edges, not all around. So this is now enclosing the raw edge from before. Definitely need to give this a press. I won't, because I don't know if you remember, I've mentioned in other videos, if I turn on my iron while I have my industrial machine on, I will blow a fuse. So I need to change where my iron is, or turn off my machine so they're not on the same circuit. Alright, let's see. Turn the pocket right side through the zipper and press well, matching the raw edge, 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so now I have another raw edge up here. So now I turn it back, right side out. I feel like this is more complicated than it should be. Why didn't they just do a regular pocket? I mean, without the French seams, but it's pretty on the inside with the French seams, don't get me wrong. And they said to baste the top. Alright, assume that I pressed this, because I will, but once I finish it. Like, if you ask me, since I have this pocket, I would have done the same thing here and have like 2 pockets, like one and then another zipper one, but we'll follow the pattern. We'll do one hanging pocket, but you could have done 2 pockets right now, like one with the zipper and one like a regular one, if you just close this. Oops. Okay, let me baste the tops properly. This is what I thought this pocket would be like 2 pockets, one with the zipper, one with like the one you put in, but I guess not. But I could have totally done that instead. Alright, so take your lining, it said to take your lining piece. One of the linings. Alright, let's find the center of this, the raw edge of the pocket, the one that we just basted. And then take one of your lining pieces, those are like the 2 huge ones, and find their center, the top center. Okay, and now I'm gonna put my pocket on the top center, matching the points. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and baste it in place. So now the top will be attached, the top of the pocket will be attached to the lining. Oh, that's why it's called the hanging pocket. Oh, I get it now. It took me a while. Because it's gonna stay like this. I get it now. The hanging pocket. It took me a while. Maybe I should edit this out of the video. Why it's called the hanging pocket. Because see, in my mind, this would have been basted this way. This is another option. This is what I was talking about before. So instead of putting it with the raw edge at the top, you make sure that the raw edge is not raw. It's usable. And then you bring it a little lower and just baste it the U all the way. And then you'll have 2 pockets. One would be the zipper one and one would be in the back of it. See? This is what I thought this pocket would look like. But now I get it. It's called the hanging pocket because it hangs. Well, duh, Alex. This is so funny. Anywho, so let's work on the exterior one, and it says we're gonna need to work on the handle opening, but it's easier to mark them now using the pattern piece. Oh, okay, so we have to mark two 1-inch wide marking on each panel. There are 475 to the left of the center. Okay, so let's grab the front panel, and we'll need to work with both of them and mark our openings for the straps. Hold on. Top exterior panel. Okay, so this and the other one. One is front, one is back. And let's do our markings. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with those, if I'm gonna do buttonholes or if I'm gonna do like a welt pocket. But let me just make the markings right now for the handle. Okay, so find the center. I'll do them on the back because I have white fleece, so I can see my markings better. Okay, this is the center, and I need to go 475 on each side. Four, 475, 475, and I need to be one and 11 inches from the bottom. Okay, let's make sure I have 11 inches from the bottom. Okay, this is 11 inches from the bottom, so they're gonna be right here. I believe on the pattern piece you should have this marking. Yes, the markings are on the piece, so if you want, you can just cut this out. And use it to mark instead of measuring. So see, I put a hole in it. So now I'm gonna use this hole to mark it, and it should be exactly where I put it. See? It's exactly where I put my marking. Here. And then here. And here it looks like I'm off by a little bit. I should have been a little higher. So this is where I need to be. It's important that those markings are correct, because when you put your straps, you don't want the straps to be crooked. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing for the other panel, the one with the pocket. First, I want to do the center, just to be sure, because with all the layers that I have here, I don't want my center to be off now. Okay, so this is my center. And this is my placement. For this, you can either use, if you have those metallic grommets for bags that are this shape, like oval shape, or you can use whatchamacallit, a buttonhole, and do a buttonhole with your machine, with your sewing machine. Or my plan is to do like a welt pocket for this, and we shall see if it will work. Because I have big plans. Okay, let's take the top exterior, which are these two, and the bottom one, and place them right sides together and sew them down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So we're gonna take this huge piece here, like the one that looks like an H, and one of the panels, and lay them right sides together. I like to go a couple of times over the handle, just because it will hold a lot of weight. And this is the big piece that I was mentioning before. Huge! Look at this. It's all, I think, a yard wide. It's like huge. Alright, now we're gonna top stitch the seam allowance up, making sure that all your handles are away, like the metallic ones, because they will snap your needle off. See, I heard a few people in one of my Juki groups on Facebook saying that you shouldn't have your industrial machine by the wall, like I have it here, see, with the wall in the back. And now I understand why, because I need more space for these huge pieces. So we're gonna top stitch the other side. So now see, your guides are on towards the bottom because we top stitched the handle up, the seam allowance up. Oh mama, this is huge. And I've made like travel duffel bags. I feel like this is as big as those, but it doesn't look that big in the pattern picture. On the other hand, I get it, because if you want it for going to the pool or to the beach, you want to be able to put a big towel, like a big beach towel in it, and all the other stuff. Alright, so now when you open it, it's gonna look something like this. This is the bottom. Let me zoom you out a little bit. No, out. Alright, so this is one big piece. Okay, so if you fold it like this, this is how it will look like. This is the bottom that has that Decovil heavy on it. This is the front. So now we want to sew the sides, right sides together. So I'm gonna open it back up and sew it right sides together here at the sides with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm gonna match it here and just put a pin in place. And then you want to make sure that where you change from fabric to interfacing, not to interface, sorry, to contrasting, which in my case is the white vinyl, they match, because then otherwise your sides will look crooked if they don't match on the side. All right. So, 1/2 inch seam allowance. All right. So far, it's not an easy pattern. It's not a hard pattern. Like I've done patterns that are way worse. It's big though. Like you need space. And be careful when you sew over all those layers. Where your fabric and your vinyl meet, because you have the seam allowance top stitch, so you have quite a few layers, like right here. See, you have quite a few layers, so make sure that those match first of all, and go slowly over them. Because between the vinyl and the fleece and the top stitching, you have a lot of bulk there. You can try hammering down a little bit the seam. I mean like with an actual hammer, so it flattens the top stitching a little bit. If your machine doesn't like thick layers. I was afraid this would not be big enough for my poor needs, but I'm taking it back. I think it's gonna be big enough. Alright, so now you're gonna take your bottom where you have your hole here, and you're going to sew it down like so. I'm opening the seam allowance again to reduce bulk. Because I have vinyl there and fleece, so quite a few layers. So if you open the seam allowance, it's gonna 1, lay nicer, and 2, reduce the bulk. So you're gonna go ahead and repeat the same step on the other side. Okay, so I finished both sides off camera, and I trimmed the seam allowance down to 1/4 of an inch on this side and this side. Alright, let's set that aside for now. This is our main bag. Oops. This is the inside. Let's set that aside for now and work on the lining. lining, you have the two top pieces that are made with the main print, and you will need to add your female and male snaps to those. Those will go 2 inches down from the center. So let's first find the center, and then we'll measure 2 inches down. So this is one. And then the other one, and these will need to be this. It doesn't matter which side you put the male and which side you put the female. Okay, I'm taking my washers, and I'm doing the exact same steps we've done before. I just need to grab some foam or Decovil. And retrieve my washers. Just for extra support, because when you go with the snaps open close, you don't want them to pierce through the fabric, and just having the 101 or woven fuse is not going to be enough. So that's why I'm adding an extra support. We have done the hardest part of the bag, so now we can just relax. The only part that's still it's gonna be new for me will be the holes, the handles in the main fabric. So that's a little scary, because that's like there's no going back once you put those holes. So we're gonna put them on the right side, even though I made the holes on the back, because it is. I made them on the back because it's easier to see the markings. Okay, and the washer. Another use for my magnetic guide. Again, you add them to the right side of the fabric. Okay, so you have a snap here, a snap here, so when you close them, this is how the bag will close. Alright, so grab your lining piece. You have one with the pocket and one without. This is what you have here. So grab one of them and place your top lining right sides together, like so, and sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Alright, you want a top stitch, and I'm trying to see if we, okay, top stitch down. So you want a top stitch towards the popcorn, in my case. Okay, and repeat the same step. So this is one side of the lining. Repeat the same step for the other side of the lining. Make sure you don't lose your pieces. Okay, and this time your pocket, your hanging pocket, will be a sandwich in between. Same steps, 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then we'll top stitch down. And now see, the hanging pocket is actually closed. That's why they did the raw edge was there, because it didn't matter. This is so cool. Alright, so let's top stitch down 1/8 of an inch away from where the two fabrics meet. Easy peasy. Okay, so see, now we have our pocket and our lining. So place your two lining pieces right sides together. You can even snap them to hold them. There. And you're going to sew on, you have to decide where do you want the opening to turn the back. Do you want the opening on the bottom, or do you want it on one side? I'm leaning towards the bottom. Is there a suggestion in the pattern? See along the bottom edge. Okay, yes, the pattern suggests on the bottom too. So I was on the same mindset with Alicia. This is so presumptuous of me. All right, make sure that where you have your different fabrics, they line up, and go ahead and sew the sides with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I love the seam allowance 1/2 inch because it gives me room for error. Like here I have a little fabric that's off, and that's okay because the seam allowance is so big. Plenty of room for error, which helps newbies like me. Alright, I repeat the same step on the other side. Again, make sure you match as best as possible the pattern on the sides. now we're gonna sew the bottom close, but again we're gonna leave 8 inches of opening. Probably gonna do more than that. I'll do 11. This way I have plenty of room to turn the bag, because it's a big bag. Alright, so back stitch at the beginning and the end of both openings. And now we're going to sew the corners. So for the corners you just open like so and flatten it. Make sure that your seam allowances go in the different directions so it reduces bulk. So you're gonna sew across here with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And same thing on the other side. Open your corner. Make sure that if the seam allowance went on this side, on the other end, on this end, you want to go in the same direction. And let's sew. Very nice. So now open your bag. So this is your lining and it has an opening here at the bottom. See my hand? Okay. Bring this outside out. And you want to bring in your main bag. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so slide your lining, and I like my pocket to be on the back, which means on the opposite side. If my interior pocket here, this one, is down, then the floating pocket is gonna be on the other side. So now I have my fabrics right sides together. And I'm matching the top and the sides. And we're gonna sew around with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. But let me pin it in place first. Find it easier if I pin it because it's big. It is a big bag. I'm not kidding. I didn't think it would be this big. But I am a huge fan of big bags. So for me, the bigger the bag, the better. There is no travel size. They're all regular size in my book. Make sure everything is nice and flat. Just Still haven't decided what I'm gonna do with it. I think I'm afraid to put holes in it. And thinking about it now, I should have made my markings on the right side of the fabric, because when I turn it like this markings, I won't be able to see them when I turn them. We'll see. I'm playing it by ear. I'm afraid to put holes in it, honestly. I may not do it after all. Alright, so I pinned it at the top. So I'm gonna sew all around with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Holy cannoli. And I have made duffel bags. I don't know why I'm so surprised. Probably because with a duffel bag, I expected it to be huge. This one, I didn't think it would be this big. But I'm loving the size, loving the size. Like perfect for a beach tote. Alright, moment of truth, at least until we get the handles done, because I believe we can turn it, right? I think we can turn it through the bottom opening. So this is the bottom opening. You're gonna turn your bag through that. And you're gonna witness all the vinyl wrinkling, like the fusible vinyl. But I told you, if you press it with a pressing cloth afterwards, it will straighten back out, for the most part. And I am not sad that I left the opening bigger than 8 inches, let me tell you. I'm not sad about it. Ta-da! It hurts my soul to see that vinyl wrinkled like this. But I knew what I was getting myself into, right? Remind me that. I knew it, that it would wrinkle like this. Alright, push out all the corners. I have this like handy dandy tool that I use to push out the corners and the seams. The bottom and the lining. Can you hear that? That's the vinyl. That sound. But hey, it protects my backstitch woven, so I'll take it. Alrighty. Whew, this was a workout. Wow, this is big. This is so big and so nice. Alright, let me put some pins around the top so I can top it easier. definitely need to give it a good press. Trying to open all the edges. Make sure they're nice and round. I run my corner tool along the edge, the seam, and it opens it up nicely. That it's an extra step to put these pins, but it helps when I top stitch, especially with a bag this big. But not even with these little bags, it helps to put those clips at the edge to hold it in place when you top stitch. And don't close the bottom opening until you're happy with all your seams. Like here wasn't pretty enough. Okay. Okay. Now I think I'm happy. Alright, so we're gonna top stitch around. We're gonna top stitch all around the opening, and then we'll work on the handles. Scary to see the handles are not attached to anything right now. If you want, this is the point where you can match your thread, your bottom thread to the top thread and to the fabric. Not me. I told you I'm not going to match anything. I'm going to use the white as an accent piece, accent statement, including for top stitching. I am not changing anything. See how much easier it is if you have your clips on. Alright, so the bag portion itself is done right now. We need to create the strap, the long strap, and close the bottom, of course. And I think I'm going to do that now, since the strap has nothing to do with the rest of the bag. This is so pretty. So pretty. All right, let me close the bottom of the bag since everything is looking good so far. And you know, you're gonna see me sewing it with the sewing machine. I am not hand stitching the lining of any bags, ever. To backstitch. Alright, for the straps, you're gonna take your long straps, set the bag aside for now, and you're gonna take your long straps and you're going to create an even longer strap. First fit would have worked on the bottom of that. Now again, hindsight 2020. Alright, I've sewn my long strap, so now I'm marking 4 inches from each end to remember to stop there. So what you want to do is fold towards the inside. Okay, let me put my marking here. Fold towards the inside 1 inch and then fold one more time. This way, from your 4-inch width, you now have a strap that is 1 inch wide, and you're gonna sew that long piece like so. All right, my lovelies, so I have done the huge strap. We're talking about a 120 plus inches strap. Like, this is huge, and I made sure to leave 4 inches on each end unsewn. So now I need to see, these are my 4 inches. I need to remark, because as I envisioned before, I need to remark my where my holes will be in the main fabric, because I put them on the lining and obviously I can't see the lining right now. So for that, I'm gonna line up my strap here and make sure that it's parallel here, and I'm gonna put a marking that is 2 inches down. 2 inches down from the top, and I want it to be 1 inch or an inch and a little bit, so my strap fits through it. So this will be that opening. I've done the same thing on the other side. Again, 2 inches from the top. And 1 or a little over 1 inch towards this side. Alright, let's do the same thing on the back. So 2 inches from the top, it will be right here. So now if you have those grommets, like wide 1-inch grommets, those would work great in this case. If not, see, I'm afraid to put the holes in there. I really am. I don't want to ruin the bag. You could obviously just stitch the handles, like just stitch them where you would put the holes. You just stitch the handle down. That's fine. You could do that. The pattern wants you to put shaking like a kid. The pattern wants you to put a hole here and a hole here, so you pull the straps through it. So I'm trying to think of a way that I will do it that I like the way it looks. Alright my friends, after a lot of debate, internal back and forth, I ended up deciding to go with the holes, like buttonholes. So I remarked on the front and ended up putting buttonholes, and I sewed with my regular sewing machine, like zigzag stitches. So an important lesson I've learned is to make sure you mark your holes on the front of the fabric, because then I had to remeasure, and yeah, it wasn't easy. But I would also think that for my next one I'm going to go ahead and buy like those big grommets, because they'll look more polished. But for now it's not bad, like it's decent. So the last step is to thread that big strap. So start with one end and we'll go through the front. Let's start with the front. Through the inside, we're gonna put it through the hole we just made, then through the handle. Can you see me now? Okay, so through that first hole, then through the handle, then we're gonna bring it on the bottom and move on to the back. Then we're gonna put it back through the handle on the other side. This is a long piece. And then back through the front, through the back top. So now I'm going to continue with the other one. The other opened one. I'm going to do the same thing but on the other side. Front, like so. Then through the guide, make sure it's not twisted. Oops, I need to wash this one. Something stuck to it. Then I'm bringing it on the back, through the guide, back to the top, back to the top. And then I want to make sure that they're all on the same, nothing is twisted. So let me just equal it up a little bit, or I can do that afterwards. Now, making sure that nothing is twisted, you're gonna unfold the end that is not sewn together. You see, you remember we left 4 inches, and then we're gonna sew this together. With 1/4 inch seam allowance. That's why we left it undone. We didn't make the loop, so we can thread it through all those holes and guides. But now we're basically ending that big loop strap. Back stitch at the beginning and at the end. And open your seam allowance. so it lays nice and flat. And you're gonna just go ahead and close it up and stitch it. Let me put a little clip here to hold it in place, because you want to stitch the 8 inches that are left on stitch. So your bag is basically done. You want to make sure that it's leveled, but once you're done, this is it. This is so cute. It's a beautiful huge tote that you can take to the beach, you can take to the pool. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to subscribe to get notifications for my next video, I would definitely appreciate it. As always, I'll link everything in the description below, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!